Down, 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 down. Ghost in the Shell. So Ghost in the Shell is directed by Rupert Sanders and is written by Jamie Ross and William Wheeler. The original anime was written by Masamune Shiro and was directed by Mamoru Oshii. Now guys, I don't know if I consider myself an anime fan. I just don't have time. I'm spending too much time watching Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. My point is, I haven't seen Ghost in the Shell. So I'm going to judge this movie as a film and not as a comparison to the original manga/anime. Now, anime to live action hasn't had the best track record, so maybe this movie's absolutely terrible, like those. But maybe it isn't? Let's find out by starting with the characters. So Major Motoko Kusanagi is played by Scarlett Johansson. The movie takes place in the distant future, where humans and robots seem to have blurred together. You can really never tell. A lot of our characters have to ask people on the streets, are you human or are you a robot? And there is kind of an underlying developing segregation in the society between robots and humans. And that's kind of where Major falls. Major is supposed to be a new development in biomechanical humans. Basically, her brain belonged to a previous human, so she retains some of her memories, but she is encased in a shell, which makes her part robot. So Major, throughout the story, she's having glitches and memories from whoever she was before, but she is designed to be a weapon. Sounds familiar, right? Basically, Major has to feed through these random memories that she's getting and find out where she came from and why she's there. What is her purpose and her fate, since basically her life has been extended to kind of an inhumane extent. Now, apparently in the anime, there's supposed to be something apparently missing from her character that makes her sort of lifeless or just different. You're supposed to be able to tell that she's not human. Now, in this movie, I didn't really get that sense, but like I said, I've never seen the anime, so I'm going to judge her for the character that the movie set her up to be. And that is, she's pretty good. Now, everyone was complaining about her being played by Scarlett Johansson, her being white, when it's an anime, and obviously most anime characters are going to be Japanese. But I feel like the movie addresses that, in that her brain obviously belonged to someone who is native to the country that they're in. But her shell just so happens to look white. She's got her sidekick Batu, played by Pilo Asbæk, and man, he was probably one of my favorites in the movie. He's so likable. He's like a BFG. Kusei, played by Michael Pitt, is awesome. I really liked him. He was very different as a villain, which, from watching anime, I have noticed a lot of animes, their villains are incredibly relatable. They're not just pure evil. Also, this guy, Aramaki, played by Takeshi Kitano, is awesome. He has some great scenes. Just the way he stands and he holds himself is just bat awesome. The acting is pretty solid throughout the movie. I had one complaint, and that is that dummy Cutter, played by Peter Ferdinando. No. I didn't like his character, and I didn't like the actor very much. He was just kind of over the top and useless. The acting isn't amazing, but it isn't bad. It's good. Also, the creepy warden from Count of Monte Cristo and the voice of the Prophet of Truth from Halo 2 is in this movie. I thought that was pretty cool. The dialogue. Now, you can really tell that this was an anime by listening to the dialogue. It's spectacular. But there are times where you can tell that it's not so much. Now, I don't know if this was in the original anime, but the whole Batman Begins line about how it's not what you are underneath, but what you do that defines you, they incorporate that into this. I always thought that that wasn't that great of a line, and it wasn't really that impactful. It wasn't impactful in Batman Begins to me, even though Batman Begins is amazing, and it wasn't impactful in this. Also, there's a line at the beginning about how Major is a weapon, and I've heard that so many times, and I feel like it didn't really need to be said. But there are some really great lines, some impactful ones. Like, they captured this one guy who is being basically brain controlled by the villain. And either he believes or he does have a daughter. And then he'll switch personalities because his brain is being hacked. Batu says, at least he enjoyed the moments where he believed he had a daughter. And that was really cool. It made me think. I was like, oh, that's a good point. It's a really positive way of looking at things. Good job, Batu. Well done. Am I saying his name wrong? Batu? Bato? I don't know. The story. Now, the story, I feel like I've seen it before, but you have to remember that this was written in 1989, and I can't think of many movies other than Terminator or Short Circuit that really delved into humans that are like robots or robots that are like humans. But the reason why I think that this story is particularly original for its time is we're talking about someone who was a human who is now cybernetic. Okay, RoboCop, but arguably done better. Something really cool that they use when they're on their missions is something called mind comms. And I'm like, I don't think I've seen that before, but that would make sense. And that is where they talk to each other through their minds. They don't move their mouths or anything. They could be having a conversation with somebody and then having a different conversation in their head with the person that they're mind calming with. When the fighting goes down, it's alright. It's not bad. I mean, it's not bad. There's a couple of times where I was like, whoa, he's dead. But not enough. Also, when people get shot, there's no bullet holes. Come on. It's like that scene in King Kong where the guy who is shirtless gets shot like 3 times and there's no blood, no bullet holes, nothing. I'm not saying that it needs to be gruesome, but I mean, please at least indicate that they were shot. Otherwise, it just feels unrealistic. And there's a couple of times where circumstantial bullcrap happens where, no, I won't spoil it. It involves an explosion. Not the first one, but maybe the second and third explosion. And somebody doesn't get hurt at all. A big complaint I have with the story is that it really wraps up super quickly. And I did look it up, and the original anime does clock in at about an hour and a half, which is about the same as this. I mean, this movie's an hour and 50 minutes. But even with an extra 20 minutes, the movie shouldn't feel rushed. And I felt like the third act was just really just straight up sprint to the end. Predictability. Now, like I said, this is kind of a derivative story, sort of. I will just be honest with you. I predicted pretty much everything. Nothing wowed me. Nothing made me go, oh, I didn't expect that. No, it was pretty by the books. Lastly, moral lesson. The movie does have a couple of morals in it. Now, in the original anime, there's a lot of boobs. I mean, that I've just been told that by everybody. There's tons of boobs. And I think that they're mainly talking about Major and her suit, or maybe she doesn't even have a suit in the anime. I don't know. All I know is that when I see her in the anime, she pretty much looks naked, except she doesn't have any markings for her nipples. I mean, there's nipples there, but you don't see like coloration or anything. In this movie, they get rid of the nipples, and she basically just has a skin-colored, skin-tight looking suit. And a lot of people are going to complain about that because they're going to say, oh, they just did that so they could PG-13 it. But no, the message that, like I said, I haven't read the manga and I haven't seen the anime, but from what I have heard from reviews of the original and from fans of the original, is that there is a message communicated that sexualizing the human body is inappropriate. And I did like that. In the anime, apparently, Batu likes to cover Major up whenever she is showing her body. And it's very sweet of him. In this movie, however, the only time that he shows that is when she gets undressed and he looks away. And I really respected that about his character. And since I related with this character, I automatically felt this movie is teaching me to be a more virtuous person. And so I really, really appreciated that about the morale of the film. Guys, Ghost in the Shell was a pretty entertaining movie. I actually really enjoyed it. Now, as far as a comparison to the anime, I don't know. I asked a couple of audience members at the screening if it was like the anime, and truthfully, they told me that it wasn't at all like the anime. But that was only from like 3 people, so I don't know. All I do know is I still really liked it, which is why I'm going to put it at number 109 on my favorite movies list. Who knows? Maybe I'll see the original Ghost in the Shell and this will move down on my list. You just never flippin' know. What I do know is I want to know what you guys thought of the movie and where it falls on your list. Please share below because I care to know. And if you want to subscribe, just click your favorite of those 4 animes and you'll be good to go. Otherwise, just hit that daggum subscribe button and I will see you next time on MovieSlayer. Boom, boom. boom, 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 boom.